Hello everyone, welcome to our session on class Reptilia. In the last session, we have discussed about the different subclasses coming under, or three different subclasses coming under class Reptilia. And the three subclasses that we discussed were subclass Anapsida, subclass Parapsida, and the subclass Synapsida. And in the last session, we started with subclass Diapsida, which was further divided into three orders. The first order was Rhynchocephalia, second one Squamata, and the third one is Crocodilia. We discussed about order Rhynchocephalia and its example Sphenodon in the last session, and today we are going to discuss the second order coming under subclass Diapsida, and that is Squamata. Order Squamata is divided into two suborders. They are Lacertilia, which includes lizards, and Ophidia, which includes snakes. So the salient features of this particular group is that the skull is diapsid with a movable quadrate. So you can see here, this is a squamate skull, and this particular bone which is highlighted is called the quadrate. So the quadrate bone is a skull bone which connects two other bones in the skull, which is quadratojugal and squamosal. And usually it is seen as part of the jaw point of the upper jaw. And this particular quadrate is the one that connects or articulates with the lower jaw and with the particular portion of the particular jaw or the bone portion of the lower jaw, which is called as the articular bone. So in lizards, the quadrate is articulated at both ends. So as in the scene here, this is articulated at both ends and hence it is movable. And in snakes, you can see that this is more elongate in snakes. When you compare the quadrate bone of lizards and snakes, you can see that this particular bone in the case of snakes, it is much more elongate and it is very mobile. And this particular structure of the quadrate bone is to allow them to swallow a larger prey. When you come to mammals or mammalian skull, you can see that this particular quadrate bone and the articular bone cannot be seen as a part of their skull. This particular bones, they are modified and they migrate into the middle ear and they form the malleus and incus. So that is what is happening in the case of mammals of these two bones. And coming to the next point, here their skin is covered with scales or shields. And the body is elongate and cylindrical. The tail will be very long in the case of both lizards as well as snakes. The limbs are present in the case of lizards and absent in the case of snakes. The vertebrae are procoelous, and the males possesses a double copulatory organ which is called as hemipenis, as shown here. So both in lizards as well as snakes, the males are having two copulatory organ or paired copulatory organ, and that paired copulatory organ is called as the hemipenis. That is also a feature of this particular group which is called as the Squamata. Coming on to the differences between the two, Lacertilia and Ophidia, which is the lizards and snakes. So coming to lizards, as we know, their body is elongate and slightly depressed. That means they are flattened. If you observe a lizard, you know that their body is more or less flattened, and it is also elongate. Coming to the feature of Ophidia, their body is long and slender. Two pairs of limbs are present. Limbs are absent in the case of ophids or snakes, but you can see vestigial limbs in the boas as well as in pythons. The sternum is present in the case of lizard. Sternum is the bone which is seen in the ventral side, which where the ribs joined, but that is absent in the case of the sternum is absent in the case of snakes. We also saw in the subclass Anapsida that the sternum was absent in subclass Anapsida, which was turtles and tortoises. The two halves of the lower jaw are fused together, and the palate bone. Palate bone is a bone which is seen in the roof of the buccal cavity of mouth. We also have a palate bone, which is the roof of the buccal cavity, is called as a palate bone. As a result, the mouth can be opened only to a moderate extent because the palate bones are fixed and also the lower jaws are fused together. But when you come to snakes, because of their particular mode of feeding, as we said earlier, they swallow a prey which is much larger than their size of the body. The two half of the lower jaw are bound by an elastic ligament, and the palate bones, that is the bones which are present in the roof of the buccal cavity, they are freely movable. As a result, the mouth can be opened wider than their body. In the case of lizards, both their lungs are functional, but in the case of snakes, only one lung is functional, the other one, the size is much reduced. Poison fangs are absent in the case of lizards, but poison fangs are present in the case of snakes. Tongue is not forked, but in snakes the tongue is forked. Tympanum is present in the case of lizards. Tympanum is absent because they do not have the capacity of hearing in the case of snake, but hearing or the auditory system is working in the case of lizards. Coming to the example of the first coming to the order, which is the in Synapsida. We have the example, which is example of the lizard category, which is chameleon. So coming to chameleon, which is this is taken as an example of order Squamata, and this comes in suborder Lacertilia. We are taking the example chameleon. So this is an arboreal which is living in tree. It is a lizard found mainly in Africa, Madagascar, and Europe. There's an Indian chameleon which is called as Cameleo ceylanicus, which is found in India as well as in Sri Lanka. And mainly because they are arboreal, their body is mainly adapted for their arboreal mode of life, and they have many arboreal adaptations, and that include their body is laterally compressed and covered with scales. So in this particular diagrams and the short videos, you can see their body is not flattened as normal lizards. It is laterally compressed. And eyes are large and covered by a large scale with an aperture in the center for the pupil. So you can see here. So this green color which is shown here is which you see here is the scale, and in the center you can see the opening for the pupil. The entire part of the eye is covered by the scale, only a point in the center. And you can see the eyes are capable of independent movement and is capable of binocular vision. Independent in the sense that if this eye is moving in a clockwise direction, the other eye can be moved in another direction. That is what is called as the independent movement. The tongue is extensible, sticky and club-shaped, which you can see here. It is extending. In these two short videos, you can see the tongue, which is extensible for catching their prey. You can see how, and you can see at the tip, it is club-shaped. The tip of the tongue is club-shaped, and it is sticky to catch its prey. Another thing, or another important feature of this arboreal adaptation is zygodactyly, which is arrangement of toes in two groups, and that can be seen here. The toes are arranged in two groups, and in this two grouping you can see that two toes are directed towards forwards and three toes are directed towards the other direction. You can see three toes here and two toes are directed in the other direction. So that is called as zygodactyly, and this particular type of arrangement of this particular or zygodactyly arrangement is for clinging onto branches. You can see how it is catching to branches in this particular videos. So that is a major arboreal adaptation that is seen for this chameleon. Next is they are having a prehensile or capable of grasping. The tail is prehensile. That means when they usually walk over branches, apart from holding with their limbs, they also you can see, but this particular video, it's not concentrating on the tail region, but here the tail is being grasped onto the. You can see some views over here. The tail is being coiled around the one or the branch on which it sits. Another important ability is the ability to camouflage or change the color. You can see here mainly when they are in the greenery, they will have the green color, and you can see here it is shot during the night hours, and it takes the color of the twig on which it is resting. It is more or less brown in color. As a result, it takes up the color of the particular branch or the environment in which it sits, and that is what is called as the camouflaging ability. So this is regarding the example coming under squamata, which is chameleon. So next, moving on to the third order of Diapsida or subclass Diapsida, which is Crocodilia. The salient features of Crocodilia are they are large-sized reptiles, which is completely adapted for an aquatic mode of life, and they're having long and immovable quadrate. The tail is long and they are laterally compressed. And this is an important weapon and also an important organ, which is a tail, which is used for swimming as well as an organ of defense. Their external auditory canal can be closed by a muscular flap, because as they are mostly in water, to prevent the entry of water, when they submerge in water, what happens is that the auditory canal will be closed with the help of this muscular cap. They are having an elongated skull formed of a long maxillae. Because of the long maxillae, they are having a very elongate skull. Another important feature of Crocodilia is they show a mammalian-like heart, which is mammalian or an avian heart, which is fork-shaped because it is having a complete interventricular septum. So you can see here mainly three types of the crocodiles can be, or the three types coming under Crocodilia or the Crocodilia can be distinguished, and they are the normal said crocodile, then you have the alligator, and as well as the gharial. So so you can see here the major difference between the three is regarding their snout, regarding the different shapes of their snout. So coming to the first one, gharial. Gharial is the crocodile which is seen in our Ganges. The name gharial is because of the tip. You can see this is the snout, and at the tip of the snout there is a bulging. As you see here, you can see here there is a small bulging in this particular gharial snout, and this gharial in the local language it denotes the mud pot which is placed upside down. So the snout is having that particular shape, that is a small mud pot which is placed upside down. So when it is in water, the snout will be at the surface, and the shape of the tip of the snout resembles a mud pot which is placed upside down, and that is why they have given the name gharial. And you can see that the snout of the gharial is very slender and pointed. So that is how you distinguish gharial from the other two, alligator and crocodile. They are having a very slender snout and pointed. Very slender and pointed snout is the feature of gharial crocodiles, which are also called as Gangetic fish-eating crocodiles. So they are having a very pointed and slender snout. So you can see also in this video, and coming to their size, they are considered to be the longest of the crocodilian family, which grows up to 14 feet. They grow very long, up to 14 feet. The maximum size is reported, and they are distinguished from the other two groups from the snout. They are having a very long and a slender snout. Coming to alligator as well as crocodiles, they are having more or less the same. The length of the snout is same, but you can see the difference. The difference is that the alligator is having a snout which is more broader. The snout is not elongate as gharial. Both crocodiles as well as alligators, they are having the length of the snout which is almost similar. But the major difference comes in their shape. The shape, in the sense that in the case of alligator, the snout is more broader, but when you come to crocodile, it is narrowing towards the tip. You can see here, so this is an alligator. You can see the tip is much more broader. It is not pointed or pointing towards, or it does not show a narrow indentation towards the tip. It is more or less broader. This is the case with alligator. Coming to crocodile, you can see that it is much more narrow, or it narrows towards the tip. That is how you differentiate between an alligator and a crocodile. So, and coming to their size, alligators are smaller compared to much smaller compared to that of the normal crocodiles. So here there is one more category which is seen in the African regions, which is called as the caiman. This is a smaller version of a smaller type of crocodilian included under crocodilian family. It shares the features of both a crocodile and an alligator. It shows the features of both crocodile and alligator. Coming to their size, they are much smaller than crocodiles and alligators. And you can also distinguish clearly the snout. So this is the snout of a gharial. This is the snout of a crocodile, and this is the snout of an alligator. You can see this is being pointed towards the tip. This is much more broader. So this is how you distinguish the three different groups coming in the order Crocodilia. They are crocodiles, alligators, and the gharial. So coming to the example, which is Crocodylus. So crocodiles are well adapted for an aquatic mode of life, as discussed earlier. Their exoskeleton is having a horny epidermal scales with which is covered by bony plates, which that's why it is much harder. The tail is long, massive, and is laterally compressed. The tail is used as a powerful organ for swimming. And here you can see the quadrate is long. You can see both the bones, articular as well as quadrate. The quadrate bone is long, very long here, and it is not mobile as in the case of our snakes. It is immobile. The quadrate is long and immobile in the case of crocodiles. So the tail is long, massive, as said earlier, laterally compressed. And the tail is a powerful organ which is used for swimming. You can see in this video they do not use their limbs for swimming. They use the tail for swimming as well as for defense purposes. And another feature is that their nostrils are placed at the tip of the snout, enable them to breathe when they are underwater. So in this image you can see that. So actually when they are completely submerged, you cannot also see their eyes. Only the snout will be visible. They will remain completely submerged in water. Only the tip of the snout will be out of water, and that is for swimming. And as we said earlier, their ears are provided by muscular flaps. Same is the case with their nostrils. Nostrils are also provided with flaps, and they close both these when they go underwater. And the nictitating membrane is present to protect the eyes. They are having the nictitating membrane, and this limits underwater vision. And there are two pairs of sen glands which are present in the throat as well as in the cloaca. One pair in the throat and the other pair in the cloaca. Coming to the mammalian features or the mammalian characters of crocodiles, the first one, as we discussed earlier, they are having a four-chambered heart, as the case with birds as well as mammals, with a complete interventricular septum. Another feature is they are having the muscular diaphragm, which is separating the thoracic and abdominal cavity. The lungs are spongy, and teeth is thecodont, like in the case with mammals, which is where the teeth is completely inserted into the gums. Their tips are inserted into the gums, and that is what is called as the thecodont type of dentition. So these are the mammalian features which are shown by crocodiles. So with this, we have completed, or we complete the discussion on the different subclasses coming under class Reptilia. So to take a quick recap, we started with our subclass Anapsida. We discussed about the example which was Chelone, or the turtle, sea turtle, and we came to Parapsida, where we discussed about Ichthyosaurus. And the third one was Synapsida, where we discussed about Cynognathus, which is a mammal-like reptile, which was having the features of a dog. After that, we discussed about discussed on subclass Diapsida, which was having, or which is again divided into three the subclass Diapsida, which is divided into three orders. The first order Rhynchocephalia, where we discussed about the example the Sphenodon, which was a living fossil seen only in New Zealand. And we discussed in the second part, we discussed about Squamata, order Squamata, and the two suborders, Lacertilia and Ophidia. We took the example of Lacertilia chameleon, and at last we discussed about the third order of class or subclass Diapsida, which was order Crocodilia, and we discussed about the features of the crocodile. So with this we have completed the classification or classification and examples coming under reptilia, and now we are having a general topic which is how to distinguish or how to differentiate poisonous and non-poisonous snakes, and that will be discussed in the next session. Thank you for listening.